This is a Viva PR podcast.
One day, if I'm grown up enough, if I'm old enough, if I'm senior enough, I want to have that job. I said, no, I'm bloody too young for that. Well, the fight show is where Top Gear meets Top Gun. Yes, if you're selling screws or whatever, then you might have a problem, but not when you have Eurofighter Typhoon as your baby. That's what we can bring to the people. Open the doors and tell them how it is really behind the fence. Now with us, they just say, okay, watch the program.
Welcome to PR in the Real World with me, Tony Garner from Viva PR. This week we're in the Bavarian Alps. Why we're here? Well, we're here to speak to Taitsch from Eurofighter, and it's a cracking episode, so stick in, let's get to it. So, hi Flo.
Hi Tony.
What an amazing place.
Absolutely, I mean, welcome to Bavarian paradise, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hope you're not freezing too much.
I rang my wife this morning and said we're in Narnia.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about the fighter show and the amazing success that has been, but before we get into the fighter show, just tell me a little bit about your career, just in a nutshell, please.
Well, long story. How much time do you have? No. Well, after school I went to military, was there for 2 years as a military police officer, and then did my degree in business administration and history of arts. So, I mean, both studies don't really qualify for being a comms professional.
No.
We would agree. And then, well, I had one of the reserve trainings and met somebody who was working at EADS at that time, and he asked me, hey, you're quite a cool fellow, don't you want to do an internship there? And well, I have to admit that I had to Google first what EADS, so the company of Airbus, really meant. But I was too polite and say, yeah, of course I'm going to do that. So I ended up there, and if you believe me or not, I mean, the first day I was in there, my first contact was with Eurofighter Typhoon, because, well, at that time, all those press clippings were far away from being digital. I mean, I think we all remember the good old times when you had the newspaper and cutting out the articles with a scissor and then gluing it on an A4 blank sheet of paper.
Absolutely,
and distributing it.
Yeah.
And I was supporting on day one. They sat me on a desk, said, look, there's a lot of newspapers. These are Swiss newspapers because we're running a campaign in Switzerland.
Right.
So everywhere where you find the name Eurofighter or Typhoon, just cut it out, glue it, stick it on the paper. So that was my first day and my first contact with Typhoon. And since then, I started in marketing, and at a certain point in time, I switched roles to the comms role.
Yeah.
And then you're climbing up the ladder. I mean, the rest is, you know it.
You joined Eurofighter, and I remember meeting you at Farnborough Air Show just after you'd been appointed, and you saying to me, "I've got my dream job. I've got my dream job." So what's your title, and what does your dream job involve?
Well, I'm heading the communications, marketing, and strategy part of Eurofighter, and I mean, perhaps coming back to why is my dream job. I mean, when I was in the marketing department of Airbus, at the first 2-3 years I was traveling around the world, being at every show, and every time the ones who were the most professional ones, that had the most fancy chalets, that had just everything, was Eurofighter.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, one day if I'm grown up enough, if I'm old enough, if I'm senior enough, I want to have that job. And at that time when we met, I mean, that just materialized. It was just, wow. So what am I doing there? It's basically, I mean, we all know that in the comms and marketing world, the higher you're up, the more you have this supervising role instead of doing stuff. So what my department does is the external comms, internal comms for Eurofighter, including social media, but also a big marketing part. So being it merchandise, branding, being on all the shows, all the fancy stuff you see out there. I mean, we are the face to the outside world, more or less.
Excellent. Well, I wanted to concentrate on one of the very first initiatives that you brought in when you got into the hot seat in Munich, and that was the fighter show.
Yeah.
And this is very much your brainchild. And so tell us about the genesis and what you wanted to achieve with that.
Well, the whole comms and marketing when I arrived at Eurofighter was a bit stuck in the 1990s, where the program was founded.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me that everybody was cool with it. But when you come in as a comms guy from outside and say, hey, the whole world is moving forward, and we are there, and everybody is sitting there and say, yeah, let's do whatever, a bit of a brochure, a bit of a press release, and that's it, and we are all having a good time. I said, no, I'm bloody too young for that. And what I realized, amongst others, is that we had a lack of social media stuff that was coming out. Although having one of the coolest products on earth, which is, I mean, yes, if you're selling screws or whatever, then you might have a problem, but not when you have Eurofighter Typhoon as your baby. So then the big question was, okay, how do you do that, and why?
Yeah.
Now, for me at that time, there were three critical things that came up. The one thing was, how do we sell our product? How do we sell the Eurofighter Typhoons?
Yeah.
The second one is the recruitment bit. So how do we get the right talents into the jobs, not only at Eurofighter, but also at BAE Systems, at Airbus and Leonardo, who are, the partner companies of the program. And the third thing was, this Typhoon and fighter planes as such have such a huge fan base. I mean, most likely every other boy, and in his early childhood was gluing together some plastic fighters, being it World War II planes or then later models, and you need to touch base with them, and then we thought about it, or I thought about it. Okay, what could we do? And social media is just so brilliant to fulfill all those three roles all at once.
Yeah. So you came up with this idea of a kind of YouTube show, like 15-minute max kind of video to explore this world. But the show needed a host, and that host ended up being Flo.
Yeah.
But what prepared you in your kind of early career, or anything that allowed you to do that? And I must say, I mean, and this is not blowing smoke, but you do it with a natural aplomb, especially when consider that you are not speaking your native tongue. Your English is better than mine.
Which is most likely my biggest challenge every time I need to speak in a foreign language and try to let it sound cool. No, but I mean, when we are. Well, how did I become host? I mean, the problem is always when you have a good idea, somebody needs to do it, and then it's most likely you introduce it to some people. And it's brilliant. You do it. You first. We follow. In that case, it was a bit different. We had my initial plan was, I mean, as a comms professional, you give a bit of a thought put a bit of a thought into the whole thing. How do you want to do that? And I thought, well, let's do it as a couple. So male, female, just interacting in front of camera and so on. And then the colleague I had in mind just got another job.
Down.
Yeah, exactly. So down -1. And I mean, Tom Clark, my head of comms, we discussed that. Yeah, but we need to carry on because we are not forever in this position. So, and the moment is now. So what do? Just, you know what? We just give it a start.
Yeah.
And that was how it then came towards me and said, look, okay, then I do it. How did I prepare, or what was the thing beforehand? I think the thing that helped me most was COVID. Believe it or not, not that I got COVID, but I think everybody in the comms world remembers this day where you were not able to contact your journalists anymore, going out, doing media tours, whatever, reaching out for the public. And then at that moment, we all got back and said, okay, let's go to studios and do little serious talk into the camera. Because beforehand, my life was like the one of many other comms professionals. We are pretty good in advising, pushing somebody in front of the camera, and then the question is, and how was it? Yeah, it was okay, but you could have done this and that better. And when you find yourself all of a sudden in that situation, that you are the one speaking in the camera and say, oh shit, what happened here? And I don't want to do this, and I don't. And then you show it. The worst case is you show it to a family. They say, oh, look at him. And that was the moment where I learned most, where you get a bit of ease then in front of the camera, where you know, okay, when you do this or you do that, where do you need to look at, and that was the only thing that really prepared me for it, and the rest was just learning by doing. I mean, having an excellent cameraman and producer behind the show it's just gold. So I think, especially in the first episodes, he did a lot of tricks to let me look at least half good.
I think I should point out for anybody who's not seen the show, jump on YouTube now, the fighter show with Flo, you'll find it. There are 30 plus episodes on there. And one of the things you'll notice straight away is that the production values are amazing. So you've often been asked this, but what's the size of the team?
Well, it's a very small team, and most of us do it part time because we've got a real desk job too. So it's Lucas Westphal, who is doing the camera stuff, who is doing the production. So everything that looks so fancy is his work, and it was just a pure coincidence that we found that talent. Then Tom Clark, our head of comms at Eurofighter, who is orchestrating everything behind the scenes. Then we normally have one social media person, because I mean we all know that we are filming square, but social media requires portrait. So that's 3 ladies in our team. So Tori Gatti, Martina Schmidtmeyer, and Hannah Mienzel. They are rotating in a way. And then myself, and then of course also Viva, who is doing a brilliant job on doing the social medias, but also a lot of the metrics, the statistics behind. And I think that's very small team, but everybody's so passionate about it, and that's I think the secret why it works.
Take us back to the launch and your kind of initial kind of thoughts and ideas around what it should look like and how you were going to distribute it, and how would you know it was a success?
It's a good question. I think we're still wondering by today how we could get so far. But to cut a long story short, I think it was the year after Top Gun Maverick came out. And for us in the industry, in the aviation industry, this is the non-plus ultra. This is the one and only film. It was already the first Maverick. All the quotes, all the scenes. I mean, I think everybody can quote a lot of Top Gun quotes. Some kids even without knowing that it's from Top Gun. So in the pilot world, this is just the Bible, the holy Bible of everything. And I was always also a fan of Top Gear, the motor show. Because they brought so much knowledge into the show, but always with a bit of smile, fun, whatever. And for us, then the mantra started to become, the fight show is where Top Gear meets Top Gun. And that was the idea behind. So on a level, on an educational level, where from the 12-year-old kid that is interested in aviation to the super pro that is at the end of his career and has seen everything, has done everything, that kind of level, but never in a boring way. So the entertainment factor is especially when you do it on social media, one of the most important things. Otherwise, you just get killed by the swipe. That's the thing.
So, I mean, there are all sorts of metrics that we can throw at this. 30 plus shows, millions of views now. And I remember those early days when we were like scratching around for like 100 views and 1,000 views. But what numbers are important to you?
Good question. I would say it depends on the stage of the program. So, of course, when you start something like that, the first thing that counts are the views. Because that's what everybody, even your hardest critic, can see. Below on YouTube, it's got 100 views. Then you say, oh, come on, it's not worth the effort, just skip it. So to justify something like that, the first thing is you need to get the views right. Once, and I still, I mean, you just said it. I mean, the party when we reached the first 1,000 views was just so enthusiastic, because this is a figure where you realize then, no, it's not the 10 test times you watched it and your family and the colleagues, but there are some people outside that are really interested in it. And then once you reach a certain amount of views, you start, I'd say, getting picky. Because you want to understand more about it and say, how can we shape it? So it's then also in which countries
Yeah.
Who is watching it? And that's the beauty of social media, is that there is so many statistics behind.
Yeah.
The only problem is normally yourself or the team has not enough time to analyze it properly.
Yeah.
So therefore also grateful that we have really some experts here in the background that every now and then raise the finger and say, but do you know, is this your target group, or where do you want to go? So it's then, well, where do they come from? Also, then the statistics on how long is an episode watched, so the watch time per episode, because what effect do you have if you have a super cool stunt in minute 8 when everybody dropped out already in minute 2?
Yeah.
So to shape that in a way, I think that is, and there the stats, the metrics are really gold, and I think that therefore, I mean, depending on the stage of any program, you start to look at different statistics and metrics, but never leaving the first ones out of sight. So you need to take care of everything then.
When you're planning an episode, do you have in mind a kind of number or a metric that you would be chasing that time, or are you more focused on getting the narrative right and the production right, and thinking these days the numbers will look after themselves?
I would say definitely not. You need to consider both things, definitely. But our approach is, as we have a very, I would say, picky and super pro audience to a certain extent, that it needs to be right and it needs to be high quality, although never forgetting that you're on social media. So it has no effect when you're doing a Hollywood production and it's super glossy, and then they say, yeah, but this is not our thing. We want to have the quick and dirty social media stuff. So for us, sometimes the challenge is to strip it down, the cool pictures, the California sunset, to a social media format. But I think it's the high quality content definitely is one of the big things that we are delivering, for the very good reason that we are, I would say, one of the few that have the access.
Yeah.
Because that was also something at the very beginning of the fight show, where we said, yeah, all those fans, everybody who wants to become a pilot, or even military guys from other nations, their access to bases, to where the exciting stuff happens, to the shelters, ends at the fence.
Yeah.
So there are millions of spotters with the long lenses that are trying to get every glimpse of an aircraft or whatever, but they are, well, feeling like miles away. And when we've got, because we are Eurofighter, we are kind of part of the family in a way. Yeah. We've got that access, and we can bring the people in. Yes, we can. I mean, now far more open than in the beginning, of course, but that's what we can bring to the people. Open the doors and tell them how it is really behind the fence.
Yeah. Has it ever had any kind of real world impact that, you know, that we know now, like this year's season, we've got close to 6 million views of it. But do you ever get stopped in the street or shopping? Hey, you're the Taitsch show guy.
True. I mean, it really starts like that now, and it's on the one hand side shocking, because hey, come on. On the other hand side, it's so rewarding when you go somewhere and you go there either with a team or just yourself. If you go shopping at home, for example, and then you meet the flight surgeon of the Munich airport, so the civil airport, big airport, and he stops you and you're carrying your shopping stuff. He says, hey, you, we need to talk to you because I saw last time and my wife is a super fan and whatever. That's the one thing, that's at home. But the most rewarding thing is when it's kids, it's youngsters coming, and that's for two reasons. For the one is this is the proof that we are having that target group.
Yeah.
The other one is that they are the most honest ones.
Yeah.
They would tell you immediately if they don't like it, or this is flow, this forget about, this is shit, this is not true, etc. And that, for example, happened so often this year at the Royal International Air Tattoo at Fairford, where we just said, okay, no, we don't film another episode there. We're just present.
Yeah.
And when you walk in at the apron where all the aircraft are, and then all of a sudden those 12, 14-year-old kids come, hey, you got Flo, right? Flo from the fire show. And then the first time it happened to me, I stood there and said, yes, what can I do for you? And then you're getting used to it, and also you get used to how to handle that.
Yeah.
And they want to discuss with you and all these kind of things, and that's just beautiful. And the last thing I had with kids was when we did, so it's not a secret anymore that we did, or I did a backseat ride just recently. One of the greatest day in my life, I must say. If not the greatest, but I can only say that if my wife is not listening. And there was a little spotter boy, I think he was 13 years old, and the flight was happening in the morning. And then he was waiting for me at the fence afterwards with his mother, and wanted to have a picture and all that. I said, yeah. And I said, hey, but it's 1 o'clock. Shouldn't you be at school at the time? And I said, yeah, my mother freed me because I told her that you are flying today. So preventing people from getting to school, or kids from getting to school, is quite something. But these are the things that are now happening, and they are so rewarding for me personally, but also for the team.
I mean, you are now a brand ambassador, I guess. And just moving on, how do you keep the format fresh? Because we've done 3 seasons now,
Sure.
and we're planning season 4. That's why we're over here now. But how do you keep it fresh? And have you tried things, experiments that haven't worked so well? And what would they look like?
I mean, what do we do to keep it fresh? I think the good thing, or the positive thing about the Eurofighter world, is that it's so huge.
Yeah.
So we've got, meanwhile, 10 customers, so 10 nations where you can do some stuff. So many bases. Also the technical stuff that is part of Eurofighter, being it the engines and a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
There are so many things that you can dig into, and coming back to this picture of the fence, that are still behind the fence, and we need to open the doors.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you also saw throughout the last 2 days where we had the workshop here on planning season 4, is even though the team is small, there are so many ideas that you can still work on. So that's brilliant. I think what didn't work was rather at the beginning. I think we planned to have 1 episode every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we realized, bloody hell, that just doesn't work. I mean, it's 2 weeks, meaning normally we shoot in an episode and have 48 hours somewhere to do that. Then the post-production takes another week or 10 working days. Yeah. You're killing yourself, especially when you don't do it full time. And we don't do it full time. It was an idea at that time that brought us to the place where we are now.
Yeah.
And almost said, well, damn to success, because when you go in somewhere, everybody asks you, okay, what's the next episode about? So you need to deliver. But this 2 weeks publishing time was just insane.
From a PR perspective and marketing perspective, what would you say the impact of the fighter show has been?
You mean to the Eurofighter
yeah,
program?
how has it made a difference to its reputation, do you think?
Well, I think we are the community's largest social media program.
Wow.
Even when you're talking about figures, you wonder yourself why that's the case. But I mean, we are even defense industry's largest social media program, not European defense industries, but worldwide, and that's the real big thing for us. In the end, now, it's all super positive. I mean, because our show also is full of passion and enthusiasm and positivity. Also, the way we are shooting stuff. I mean, everybody who is an interviewee looks like the superhero. I mean, that's not the reason for that. Is not that they're all super cool in front of cameras, but most of them are in front of a camera for the very first time with us. But they trust us, and we provide that security that, okay, if you don't get it right in 10 takes, we do take 11 and 12 and 13. We just leave once it's great content and it looks good. I think for the wider audience, what the fighter show brought us is this connection to the users.
Yeah.
So being there at exercises, at bases, being there at detachments, that is for us important as an industry, but also I think important for this community that normally has not the public situation, to show them how valuable they are for us as an industry, but also as a community, as a nation.
Yeah.
To tell them how important their service is. And I mean, one example, if I may. I mean, we were, I think it was last year, in Poland. There was an Italian detachment doing Baltic air policing.
Yeah.
So really shielding those borders, those NATO borders that are bloody important now at the moment for us.
Absolutely.
And we came there on base at, it was 9 o'clock in the morning. So the morning sortie was already airborne, and the two chats came back. They were taxiing on the taxiway back to their shelters, and we were there and said, okay, let's capture that already and film that. And we stood there close to the shelters, the canopies open, and the pilots, before they were signing off their aircraft, were running towards us and saying, hey, thank you, really cool that you're here, thank you. I said, why should you thank us? I mean, we should thank you for your service. No, because since the fighter show exists, we can tell our families how we are working and what we are doing. Because most of those things are so secret, so that they aren't, the pilots and the maintainers, they are not even able to tell their families. Now with us, they just say, okay, watch the program. So this is so rewarding, and it shows the real purpose of the show.
Excellent. I mean, that's brilliant insight and feedback from the people who are really close to it. Let's get the kind of like Hollywood bit out of the way. If you could greenlight one episode, one dream episode, what might that look like?
You know, Tony, that's pretty difficult, because there are so many aspects you would like to try and to do, but also squeezing that in a 10 to 15 minute program is quite a challenge every time again. See, if I could paint one, it would most likely flying with all the Eurofighter nations in one formation, and in one of them, me in the backseat, and just telling that story of how great that program is, not only in terms of technical inventions, but it unites nations, it brings them together, it's a kind of a real force of diplomacy, and it's all the airmen are having one common target, to shield the airspace over their countries and over their nations, and keep people safe, and to tell that story every time again and again it'd just be great. That's
a brilliant mental picture of you flying around there. I guess to cap it all, you'd have Tom Cruise waiting for you when you got there. We're going to have to wrap up, because we're freezing out here. It might look like Narnia, but it is -7. So before we go, I mean, one kind of lesson for our viewers and listeners who are PR and comms professionals that you think they should take away from this episode, and your kind of big key takeaways from delivering this project.
Well, I think the key takeaway for every comms professional of this fight show story could be that, first of all, you need to believe in your ideas, and really 100% believe in the idea, and then ask yourself, okay, are you passionate enough to do it? If this is 2 times a yes, then you can start rolling it out, but prepare for impact. Not everybody is super positive about what you're doing. You need to stay, even if it's your own baby, you need to stay a comms professional. Means get your line to takes ready. Say whatever somebody is shooting at you, be prepared to got that, but this and this and this and this is the case. Get your figures ready up front. Everything should be like when you're doing a normal comms campaign. And take risks, but take calculated risks. I think the comms community is famous for calculated risk. If you're a real pro, you don't run in a direction without a plan B and C.
Yeah.
And if you have these kind of ingredients, I think then there's a high likelihood that whatever project you wanna push through can become a success.
Excellent. That's a brilliant place to leave it. Dr. Flo Taitsch, or should I call you Fighter Show Flo?
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to PR in the Real World. If you've enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you could subscribe to the podcast and leave us a quick review. Your support really helps spread the word and reach more marketing and PR professionals just like you. And don't forget to share this podcast with your colleagues or anyone who'd benefit from the insights we share. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time for more tips, strategies and real world stories from the PR frontlines.